In the previous videos, we defined what we mean by a set. We also defined the set of real numbers. And now we're going to actually do some operations with these numbers. So the first concept that I want to show you first is the concept of absolute values. Absolute values. So I'm going to start off by a definition, and then I'm going to move to some examples, and then to another property. So suppose I have a real number a, for example, a in the set of real numbers such that if, so the first statement is if a is greater or equal to 0, then the absolute value of a simply just equal a. And if a is smaller than 0, then the absolute value of a equal minus a, or the opposite of a, or the additive inverse of a. All of these are terms that are really important that you should remember. And yeah, to give some examples, just give some example to get really a, for example, suppose I have a real number. Now I'm going to just take 2, for example. Now the absolute value of 2 is simply just itself, 2. Let me just take another number, minus 1/4. Now, obviously, if I take the absolute value of minus 1/4, I simply get its additive inverse. So, which is simply, now these two symbols here will just cancel themselves out, and I simply just get here 1/4. Let me just add a line so I can better represent this in the other side of the board. Now I'm going to move to the second property that I want to show you today, which is a property of absolute values. So let me just add it here. Properties. And these are statements which are true for all real numbers a and b. Now suppose I have a number a and b in R, which means that they are just real numbers. The first statement is a, the absolute value of a is always greater than or equal to 0. And the absolute value of a is always equal the absolute value of minus a. And the last statement, is the absolute value of a minus b simply equal the absolute value of b minus a. So let me just get some or take some examples to show what I mean here. So if I take a real number, it doesn't matter what it is. So for example, it's 5.2. Now this is obviously the absolute value of 5.2 is just 5.2. And if you can actually just take a look at the example we did with the negative number here, 1/4. So its absolute value is always 1/4. I guess this example is very obvious, doesn't need any more explanation. The second statement is, let me just take a number, just minus 10. And I'm going to see if it is the absolute value of minus 10 is equal to the absolute value of its additive inverse, which is 10. So minus 10. The absolute value of minus 10 simply equal its additive inverse, which is 10. And the absolute value of 10 just simply equal 10. And I have the absolute value of minus 10 is equal to the absolute value of 10. And voila, it's very obvious. The last example I'm gonna just do here because I need a little bit more space. Suppose I have two real numbers. Let me just take 2 just for the sake of this example, and 4, 2 minus 4. Obviously it's the absolute value of minus 2, which is 2. And if I take this time b minus a, which is in this case it's 4, the absolute value of 4 minus 2, which is simply the absolute value of 2, which equals simply 2. And you can see they are really equal. And yeah, you can see that these properties, these statements are always true for all real numbers. And yeah, you can actually use them, and when we're solving equations, sometimes they're useful. So yeah.